Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the worst 6 brawlers inside of Brawl Stars right now. So you guys probably know already a few brawlers that were some of the worst brawlers in the game are pretty much some of the best. So the worst 6 brawlers have finally switched up just a little bit. So before we jump into it, make sure you're using the creator code in the shop. That'd be greatly appreciated. And without further ado, let's jump into it. Alright guys, so jumping into the 6th worst brawler inside of the game right now. No surprises here. We have a Dynamite. So Dynamite always in and around the bottom 15 in the game. Feel like he's kind of slipped down in the meta just a little bit just because of the removal of Siege not too long ago. That was one of the best modes to push him on. He's only really good in Heist right now and a select few Brawl maps. Of course, you can still pop off with Dynamite if you're up against certain combinations, and even in Power League you can sometimes last pick Dynamite if you're on maps like Hot Potato, for example, where there's a lot of walls. You can really counter those squishy brawlers with a demolition style power. Other than that, Dynamite just a little bit too easy to counter in comparison to his other brawler counterparts with throwers, I mean. But yeah, it just doesn't have that defense mechanism that most brawlers have, like a barley slow, like a tick gadget, etc, etc. Even Grom can sometimes push back brawlers with his super. So yeah, Dynamite just doesn't have that, and that's going to be his main downfall. So yeah, it's kind of just on repeat for what Dynamite's been, what, the past year or so. I don't think he's received any sort of balance changes since then, which is a big shame because Dynamite is one of the most fun brawlers to play and one of the most popular brawlers for sure. So Frank just kind of stunned me there, which is a little bit unfortunate. But also just a brawler that I also missed out on the bottom 6, just changed it out last second, was going to be Grom. So I was going to put Grom in the bottom 6 just because Grom, I feel like, is just absolutely awful right now. But I did consider his use in Knockout. Sometimes I will often tick and Sprout a ban, so Grom is a good alternative pick there. Other than that, Grom pretty much not used anywhere. He's really, really bad right now. So if you guys are arguing that Dynamite's not bottom 6, surely you've got to agree on Grom being bottom 6. So yeah, kind of getting wrecked right now. Most of the bumpers are actually been destroyed. I didn't even know you could destroy that with a wall break, which is quite hilarious to me. So I should be able to get the stun onto the Frank, hoping I can get my super down quick enough. That should be him stunned at least, and then this should be a goal surely with these guys respawning. Mortis didn't really time that too great, and yeah, it's just a Frank left, so this should be an easy goal right here. Okay, looks like Mortis gonna mess that up again. I think Frank just got shot on him, so maybe he wasn't able to convert that, but if the Mortis passes it over here, this should be an easy goal. So we're gonna stun that Frank, should be able to get the super onto Mortis, and somehow we haven't scored. I don't know how we haven't scored it unless the Colt can go ahead and score here. So I think we're just going to cut this here because this game's just going on for too long. So that's going to be the 6th worst brawler. Let's up into number 5. Okay, so now jumping into the 5th worst brawler in the game right now, we have El Primo. So unfortunately, in terms of the video, this should be a good game because El Primo is a really good counter against tanks. So yeah, El Primo is still going to be really good going into tank brawlers because that's just how El Primo works. He's so good at countering those tanky brawlers, but if El Primo isn't up against one of his counters, he's really going to struggle, and that's always the case with El Primo in the meta. So you got to be really careful in terms of balancing. Like often, well, last time he got balanced, he was like literally the best brawler in the game. They nerfed him, and then he became one of the worst brawlers in the game. Then it buffed him slightly with his super attack charge rate, I believe. I've actually buffed it a little bit not too long ago, and he just still hasn't been that good of a brawler. But of course, you got to be, again, really careful with El Primo because he's got one of the best supers in the game. You've seen that when they actually introduced a mechanic where if you take damage you get your super. You know, he quickly became the best brawler in the game. So yeah, let me know what you do with El Primo because he is a bit of a hard one to balance sometimes, but he is, I feel like, in a way, he is balanced for what he is, because in Power League, you would still go El Primo if you're facing off against, I don't know, a Frank, for example, or even like a Rosa, a Daryl. Primo is a solid counter to these brawlers, but I don't think there's ever a scenario where I'd actually go El Primo other than last pick on any other map or mode, really. So not really the best brawler right now. So yeah, we've got our super. Primo, definitely one of his best modes is Brawl because of his ability to score so easily with his super and just chain. That should be a goal by our Crow. He's going to go ahead and trick shot it and scores. So yeah, Primo, one of the worst brawlers in the game right now. Let's hop into number 4. Okay, so now jumping into the 4th worst brawler in the game right now, we have Eggo. So Eggo is so frustrating to play whenever you're playing him on ladder. it can just be so hard going into so many different brawlers, and it really requires you to have good patience with Eggo. Just know when the enemy has low ammo. That's the only really time you're going to be getting many kills with Eggo, because Eggo is extremely squishy. Don't feel like you get enough healing back when you jump onto the enemy, and you can just die so quickly. And other than solo showdown, Eggo just not really the best right now. So fortunately, we've actually got one of the better combos that we could face, like Poco, Eggo, Poco, BB, and Ems. Eggo's actually pretty decent against all of these brawlers, but yeah, for the most part, Eggo just not really usable. And even if you're facing off against Eggo's easiest brawlers, you know, for example, if he was on a like hot potato and, you know, there was like a thrower on the enemy team and then maybe like a Rico or something, I just still feel like you don't get much value, and I would rather much go another aggro brawler like a Bull or a Darrow or someone like that, where you can easily get better heist safe damage. But yeah, again, Eggo just not really the best unless you're literally facing the easiest combo, and then you might be able to wreak havoc a little bit. But I feel like Eggo is in a place where I won't really buff Eggo, because it can get so toxic if Eggo is a meta brawler, because of just overall mechanics. I don't want to ever really see Eggo meta again after the first time he was released. So yeah, we're going to push into the Poco here. Should be able to get our super back pretty much straight away. And again, Poco, the easiest target in the world, so we're going to try and focus our attention on Poco as much as possible. Ems with no gadget as well, this should be an easy kill, and the BB as well. I think I actually jumped on the BB when I was really low, kind of forgetting that BB has 2k damage per hit now, which is pretty insane. BB a really underrated brawler. I might actually do a video on her soon, because she's actually being played a lot in East Asia right now, whereas in other regions like Europe, we're kind of sleeping on us. So yeah, we're going to try out a BB in a future episode for sure. So we're going to try it and line up for the trick shot right here. Let's see where this ball ends up. I don't think that's got enough power in it to really do anything, but we're going to go in here, try and cause as much pressure as possible, and the Mortis should be able to score. So that's going to be the fourth worst brawler. Let's up into number 3. Okay, so jumping into the third worst brawler in the game right now. No surprises or change whatsoever here. We have Karl. So Karl, I felt like with the buff when it first came out, Karl was pretty underrated, especially on maps like Crystal Arcade, for example. I remember scrimming quite a few times, and Karl was pretty much a strong brawler, but then people realized how to counter him really quickly. You could just use a brawler with speed gear, any type of knockback gadget, or super, or anything like that, and then Karl just really isn't a great brawler. It takes a long time to get his pickaxe back once you actually initially throw it out. Again, his super, the best thing about him, most brawlers in the game right now have something or some kind of ability to kind of counteract that. So yeah, Karl not really the strongest. Again, you can still get some form of value against brawlers that don't have that stun potential, but still there's a lot of other brawlers you could rather go than a Karl. So yeah, for me, he just needs either a gadget to replace his other one that has some sort of like stun cancellation. I think I spoke about this last time, like the Frank gadget, where you can just easily cancel out a stun or something like that. That'd be a really cool feature to have with Karl, or just make his pickaxe return a little bit faster. Normally that's the type of thing that actually makes him viable. In the past, you know, he's gone from one of the worst brawlers to the best brawlers just by increasing his speed with his pickaxe. I think that'd be pretty interesting, because you could still counter a Karl with stun mechanic brawlers, and that's one reason why Karl metas aren't really toxic, because he's easily counterable in some ways. So this should be a goal right here. No one picking up the ball, so we can just slot that one in. So yeah, really frustrating the way like Karl is. Maybe they're looking at a way to balance him out more in the future. Let me know if there's any type of like baseline thing they could do, you know, with a bunch of other brawlers which haven't really been balanced for a long time. Maybe they could do that with Karl, but I don't really see an option for Karl like this. So we should be able to get our super in time to get away. Okay, Fang, he's able to catch up a lot quicker. So you can just think of Fang like a brawler like Karl, right? Karl has that good gadget where he can pounce onto people. Just think of Fang as the 100 times better version of him. You're just easily able to do that with Fang's super and deal a lot quicker damage. And you also have a stun gadget with Fang, which is absolutely insane. Imagine if Karl had his own stun gadget. Maybe that could be pretty interesting. So should be able to take down the Mortis and close this one out. So looks like we're moving into the bottom 2 brawlers now. Let's jump straight into it. All right, guys, jumping into the second worst brawler in the game right now, we have Jackie. So Jackie, Easily one of the worst brawlers in the game right now. So when her new gadget first got revealed, I thought maybe Jackie could be somewhat meta, because, you know, there's a lot of times where brawlers can get a new gadget or a gadget buff and they can make them one of the best brawlers in the game, just like Squeak, for example, one of the worst brawlers going into one of the best. So I thought maybe this new gadget can be really cool, and it's one of Jackie's biggest weaknesses. So obviously rebuilding the environment could maybe make Jackie meta, but I was definitely wrong about that one. This gadget, really bad. It only really actually builds up a few tiles, and that's really not going to do a lot for Jackie. Like 2 tiles, 3 tile walls, that's probably just going to get destroyed in time. So for Jackie to be somewhat viable, I think they should buff her gadget. Again, I don't want a brawler to be gadget dependent, but this gadget is just useless. Let's face it, it's not really the strongest whatsoever. So buffing that to start with, maybe a good start for Jackie. Again, like removing her shield with her super, I don't think that was a good change, because Jackie just gets melted really quickly because she has no range. She can't really defend herself that well. So removing that shield is removing one of the best things about her, being able to super people closer towards her and get a kill. So yeah, they've really done a bit of a bad job with balancing Jackie. You know, she was all over the place, one of the best brawlers in the game when they actually changed her super, and then they changed it quite a few times and made her one of the worst brawlers. So I think they just need to go back, change, give her that shield, and then go from there. So yeah, looks like we should be able to close this one out, even with hardly any walls to go around. Let's see if we can get any value with a Colt, or to see if it can get into the range here. Okay, looks like we might be able to get a super off. Okay, somehow we missed that one. I have no idea how I missed the line on that one, but should easily be able to hold out. And also, again, to feel like Jackie does no damage, maybe you could even buff the damage if they feel like it, because it takes way too many shots to take people down. So that's going to be the second worst. Let's hop into number 1. All right, guys, so jumping into the worst brawler in the game right now, we have Penny. So Penny, again, no surprises whatsoever. Penny been an absolutely awful brawler in the meta for such a long time, and removal of Siege, of course, going to make her even worse. She just slow, like the slow reload is so painful, especially when aggro brawlers are against you. A really good thing about it is her turret. Splash damage can sometimes be okay, but yeah, Penny always used by people that are in the low levels of Power League, but never ever seen when it comes to competitive. She's just not the greatest, and the only time I've really ever seen her used is with like the bow totem, where you're able to get a free Penny super. Other than that, it's really hard to get your Penny super. So again, I'm just crying out for like a rework with Penny. They need to change her turret in some way or another, because turret is really OP, but it takes so long to get it. So again, I'll say it time and time again, they really need to make it so you get her Penny turret in like 4 shots, but make the Penny turret a little bit weaker so it's not too toxic. She doesn't just revolve around her super. I feel like this might give her a little bit of life. I think maybe increase her reload speed a little bit. I'm just really unsure why they kind of refuse to buff Penny, right? I mean, she is used a lot in the lower levels, but that shouldn't be a reason why they just completely neglect Penny. You've seen buffs to brawlers like Jessie, who are really good in lower levels, where it's actually like a good change, where it's not too toxic for the lower levels. They need to try and do something with Penny, because she's just not been touched for like years. She's one of the brawlers that has had the least balance changes since her release. Yeah, we just need some love for Penny. So that's going to be it for today's video. Let me know who's in the bottom 6 for you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.